All right. Hey, if we can make our way to the main floor, I don't know what you'd even call it, the presentation area. Everyone over there getting pizza, come on down. Especially you. You know who I'm talking about. All right. All right, we're getting started a little bit late, so we're going to go fast so we can still hang out, go to Twin Peaks, chill. We had some network issues with, we usually don't have a stage. I feel this is kind of weird. Yeah, so anyways, there's something going on with the Wi-Fi. I was told otherwise, but I verified it with someone else. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Yeah, I tried the Village events and ATL Tech Village. It might be something where it's like it limits how many people can join. Like there's some kind of cap. So if you're already connected, maybe no. I've had multiple people verify we can't connect to it, so I don't know. All right, hotspot's working. If the hotspot holds out, hopefully we can still record for people online, everything like that. So, second floor. All right, we're good. We're using hotspot. I think we'll be okay. But thanks, appreciate it. All right, I would say this. If you are a sponsor and you're here and you see yourself up on that page, come over here to the side. We're going to go through sponsors. That's what we do at the beginning of all these things. Is anyone here for the first time? I know a couple. Maybe. Okay, thank you for coming. Hope to see you again. Let me just quickly go through our sponsors. Hide.me, it's a VPN service, so you can use cryptocurrency to stay a little bit more anonymous. You don't have to tie a credit card to your VPN access, so surf a little bit more anonymously. Edge Wallet, their official wallet of the meetup. I recommend this wallet to anyone who's just getting in, especially. We use Edge Wallet for a couple different things in our workshops and such. Bitcoin Depot, is anyone from Bitcoin Depot here? You want to come? Bitcoin Depot, it's a, is anyone from Bitcoin Depot? Everyone should raise it, I don't know. But if you go to coinatmradar.com, they have ATMs all over Atlanta. Definitely check them out. Very reputable company. They've supported this meetup for quite a while now. Is anyone from Founders Legal here? I'm trying to go for everyone that... Founders Legal, they're actually in this building. Legal consulting services. If you're incorporating, if you're doing anything in the crypto space, make sure you feel out everyone who's doing stuff in terms of legality and expertise in that professional advisory space. Let's see, who else? Tyrion, that's the company I work for. We're making data provable, so timestamping data. You can trust the integrity of the data without a trusted third party, so you can have ultimate guarantees of when data existed. This is a pretty cool technology. It's for pretty much any vertical. I learned just a couple days ago, I went to the Miami Bitcoin conference and learned that Dex Freight is using us in their supply chain to timestamp the different pieces of their supply chain with their freight shipping and stuff like that. So I thought that was really cool. Like, we have a completely anonymous platform, so sometimes we don't know who's using us until they reach out and ask us a question or we meet them at conferences. So definitely check out Tyrion if you're looking to blockchainify something that already exists. It's really, really cool technology. We're live, production ready, and everything. So Protecting Coin should have gave you tickets. We'll do them at the very end. Chris Flinders right here. If you don't have a ticket, make sure to get one before we do the raffle. He's always giving away good stuff. And I'm going to hand it off right now to PKM.
Thanks. Hey, everybody. My name is Nick. I'm representing PKM. We're proud to sponsor Tab here. We're a full-service accounting and advisory firm here in Atlanta. Been in downtown for 40 years. And we recently, in the last 2 years, we've had a internal group that's focused exclusively on blockchain and crypto. And we're passionate about the technology. We have various banking relationships, and we work in fintech areas. So we've cultivated a lot of relationships in those areas that have helped some of the crypto clients that we worked with, and everybody, our target is companies in and around the crypto area. Every company needs an accountant, so why not work with somebody who's passionate about the technology? If anybody has any questions, I'll be around. Obviously, come grab me at the end of this. Thanks.
Thank you. So intimidating getting up on stage here. You guys want to hear some jokes? So my name is Alex with Gino's Classic Barbershop. We feel very fortunate to be part of this wonderful group. Mike does a great job. Thank you for allowing us to sponsor. We've been accepting Bitcoin since about 2013, and we've loved every minute of it. The first Bitcoin that we sold for haircuts. The first haircut that we sold for Bitcoins, that Bitcoin rose to about $1,000. So you saw the big spike, right? And then you saw the big tumble. We've seen it before, we'll see it again. It's just the nature of the underlying currency, or the nature of the currency. First time Bitcoin holders, first time, very recently, yeah? May I ask why you got Bitcoins? Why Bitcoins? Have you spent any Bitcoins? So somebody just sent you Bitcoin, say, hey, here's some Bitcoins? You bought some. To do what with? To make some money? Huh? To hold it. So my point is this. People are buying Bitcoins here to speculate, which is fine. But there are places in the world where people are actually spending Bitcoins at barbershops. I don't get many people spending Bitcoins because Visa, MasterCard is so much easier. But in places like Venezuela, it's a necessity. So Dash, Bitcoin, other currencies, it's a necessity. It's a consumer's market. That's the only way for Bitcoin and other cryptos that are credible and prominent to get to the next level. You have to create a consumer's market. Where there's a need, there's a way. There's no need here, which is fine. It's okay. My point is we're accepting Bitcoin because we want to be a part of the ecosystem, a part really of the change, a part of the disruption. It's a vote for the future of money, to be on the right side of history. So can I get an amen? All right. So come and spend some Bitcoins. We do wonderful haircuts. We'll give you 10% off if you use Bitcoin. We'll charge you an extra 3.5% if you use plastic. You want your points, you got to pay for them. So we just opened the second shop in Buckhead. Get 20% off. I have flyers over here, very convenient location, right below New York Prime. We're going to be opening another shop in Midtown soon. Also, we'll be accepting Bitcoins. So if you own a business or know somebody who does own a business, encourage them to consider accepting Bitcoins or crypto. There's no cost. There's no risk. Contact BitPay or have a conversation with me. I'll be happy to talk to you forever.
Hey, thanks. All right, get them going. Appreciate it, Alex. Last but not least, can we just give a round of applause for Atlanta Tech Village for helping us get the venue? Thank you. And thank you to Skip right here, helping us. All right. This stage is very, very weird to me. So we've been in here for over a year, and this is the first time I've ever seen a stage in here like this. So Alex was joking we needed like intro music, kind of stuff. But all right. Anyway, so today's going to be probably short. We'll probably go fast because I'm presenting, and I present fast, and just it's mainly pictures and whatever. Maybe we can do some stuff to y'all. Also want to let you know about the Atlanta Bitcoin Embassy. This is like a Monday through Friday operation. Every Wednesday that we're not having this event, we'll have a cocktail mixer there. Feel free to Google Atlanta Bitcoin Embassy. You'll find out that kind of information. It's just try to help spread the word. I see plenty of people here that are regulars at the embassy, so it's a fun spot. This is our Telegram group. If you don't know what Telegram is, it's the yet another messaging app platform that you have to download because everyone's using it. And Telegram is really where Twitter and Telegram is where everything is in terms of communication, unless you want to use like IRC and maybe some wire stuff for the super Monero stuff. But anyways, this is where most of the conversation is happening. Atlanta Blockchain's our main one. Tab Dev is more focused on technical talk and our technical book reading club. Tab Shill is literally for everything else. If you want to talk about your ideas, Anything that isn't this meetup specific, you can just go into Tab Shill. We push a lot of people there because if you're promoting some kind of thing, well, you can do it there. ATL_blockchain, follow us on Twitter, and we post all kinds of stuff there as well. Our next book reading club is tomorrow. It's going to be at the Bitcoin Embassy if you want to come, and we're going to cover the end of Chapter 7. If you don't know anything about that book, no worries. It's online, it's free, and you can just come hang out with us and learn a little bit. We have workshops. We have a workshop this Saturday. This is kind of like what these workshops look like to some extent. They're on meetup.com and Eventbrite. You can check them out. We're going to go over like some Bitcoin script. We're going to use Chainpoint. We're going to go over a lot of really cool things to get your. It's a lot of hands-on experience kind of workshop where you can kind of be walked through. No like prerequisites. This is any level is acceptable because it's a little bit of hand holding through the workshop, but it's pretty cool if you've never done anything with Bitcoin before. We're going to do the Protecting Coin raffle, so make sure you don't leave. Make sure you wait for Chris. He's going to end this like he always does. So the man in the blue shirt, it's not over until he gives away something. So make sure you wait for Chris. We have TabConf coming up in February. This is a pretty big deal for us. Really a grassroots movement. We're trying to bring Atlanta together. This is, we're pretty much taking any profit that we make and we're giving it back to attendees in forms of swag and parties and et cetera. Make sure you check out the lineup. We are going to actually raise ticket prices in February, on February 1st. So if you did want to come to this conference, make sure you get a ticket. You can pay in cryptocurrency, US dollars, et cetera. I don't know, 55 speakers, 3 days, yeah. And it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so it's on the weekend. So no excuses, right? No, but it's going to be a pretty great event. If you've been looking at Casa HODL, they're also going to be coming to the conference. They released these nodes, and I set one up for Tab, the Atlanta blockchain, and we're like we look at all those connections. We have like 60 some channels open. So if you don't know about the Lightning Network, we set one up for the group, and we can now accept Lightning payments. So trying to make it happen. If you don't know anything about Lightning Network, we can definitely discuss that at Twin Peaks after this. It's a really cool technology. And there's Twin Peaks. It's going to be right here. Walk out, take a left. We're going to be the second floor, so we have the whole second floor reserved. All right, so let's get to it. Let's talk about the main presentation. So we're going to talk about a little bit of Ethereum, a little bit Monero. And we're going to cover these at really high levels, almost like teasers, because we're going to have a lot of Ethereum Classic and Ethereum people come to TabConf, and we're going to have some Monero people come to TabConf. And hopefully they don't watch this stream, because I'm probably not going to give justice to any of these topics. But there's a lot of nuances that could really affect some key kind of, ideas in terms of something like a 51% attack or something like privacy and ring signature and stuff like this. So I'm going to cover this at a high level. I guess my disclaimer is, I'm not necessarily an expert on either of these projects, but I know enough to kind of give you a high-level overview. And if you think any of this is interesting, we're going to have tons of experts actually come in, like I said, to TabConf and talk about all these projects. So definitely you won't want to miss that. Now, if you haven't heard the Ethereum Classic, Ethereum Classic is mining, so they're burning that electricity, melting the ice caps, right? Evil, right? No, I'm just kidding. But these mining chains can be 51% attack. They can be reorganized if you go back and rewrite history, and that's kind of what happened to Ethereum Classic. It wasn't very clear, though. This happened on like January 7th. It wasn't very clear what really happened, though, right away. So this tweet came out. This one got a lot of retweets, pretty much just saying like, hey, there may have been a 51% attack on Ethereum Classic. And then this article came out saying Ethereum Classic devs said it wasn't a 51% attack, so it was like, okay, I don't know if it really was or not, but who cares because Ethereum Classic, who cares about that project? Well, a lot of people do. So, you'll meet some people that are passionate about this project. It's pretty interesting. Now, we're testing something out, and Ed introduced me to this really cool idea where you can kind of have the audience participate a little bit in the presentation. I would really appreciate if at least 10 of you participated and go to pollev.com/tab292. Literally, just go there on your phone. There you go. Someone voted. And I wouldn't text. The text sounds hard. But if you just go to pollev.com/tab292 on your phone, I think you can just click skip. You can be completely anonymous on this, or anonymous as you would be using your phone. And this is kind of like a lot of people like A. I see. Okay. You can also clear your results and click B. So if you have a phone, try this out. This is kind of like the test page where we can kind of feel out the thing before we start asking questions. And this is supposed to be kind of fun. This is like, I think I'm going to include this in a lot of my presentations now because this is, get audience engagement. Yeah, you can customize a lot of stuff on here. So Ed just introduced me to this. So again, Ed, thank you for making this meetup awesome. If you have any ideas to make this meetup awesome, please do not hesitate to share. We're all inclusive, and we take constructive criticism, etc. So, all right. So it looks like some people understand how to get to pollev.com/tab292. All right. So we're going to go to this one now. This is just a random question. Where is most of the mining happening? This is just like a random question to also show you some other kind of cool interfaces. So it looks like someone thinks like, what is that, like Michigan? No. Minnesota? Anyways. Someone's in India. Most people are in China. Someone's like in Greenland. Okay, cool. Someone's up there near Ireland or something. Who knows? Europe. All right. Cool. So I know that there's at least 10 people using this because there's like 10 dots up there. All right, awesome. Okay, so let's ask a little bit more of a question to help me kind of gauge what I need to talk about. Do you understand what a 51% attack is? And this is going to help me kind of guide my narrative. Or maybe I just want to see this pie chart transform, and I'm going to say the same thing anyways, but, For the live stream, the commentary was 51% says they know what a 51% attack is. All right, cool. So it looks like most of the people in here at least have a good understanding of it, or at least heard of it. So about 25% haven't heard about it. All right. A 51% attack, I always compare it to like this. This is, here, you can watch. This is Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob. Boom, pulls out the quarter, boom, with a string. So to me, a 51% attack is really, if you're a vendor like Gino's Barber, it's like, well, I mean, BitPay in your case, but if you're accepting the cryptocurrency, it's dangerous because they could take it back and spend it somewhere else. Now, this doesn't really have any effect on people holding long-term or people that are spending. This is really for the people accepting it. So that's just something clear to know about 51% attack. This is what happened with Ethereum. So the idea is you spend money, and then you rewrite history. Thus, that spend never really happened, and you have your funds unspent. So you can double spend your funds, and that's the danger of a 51% attack is you can double spend your coins to this person and this person, or back to yourself, stuff like that. So this is kind of like what it would look like. So I totally stole this image offline somewhere. Starting at block 38 and going forward, let's say the orange chain was originally the truth, and you do 39, and then, okay, on 40, you spend 100 Bitcoin somewhere, 41, and then you go back to block 38, and you start rewriting history. So that block 40 where you spent 100 Bitcoin never happened. So essentially, you spent the 100 Bitcoin, got some kind of service or product, and then you still have that 100 Bitcoin. So if you think, Oh, good question. So he said, at what point is it a 51% attack? Well, when you create a chain, like a competitive chain that's longer or has more work to it, that's when the 51% attack was successful, because in a proof of work mining operation, you mine on the chain with the most work. And that is the truth. So in other words, if you start back in history and then you start mining a new chain and that one ends up having more work because you have more people mining on that chain, then that becomes the truth. Yeah, question. The question was, what if it's a 50.1% attack? Same thing. You could actually do a 50. You could actually do it's really a reorg attack. And if you have 40% of the network hash rate, you can still do this attack. It's just going to be less likely it will be successful. So it's all based on some probability. If you have 20% of the network, it's very unlikely you'd be able to successfully perform a 51% attack, but still possible. Because this is all about probability and statistics. You're not guaranteed to find a block at any necessarily given time, but there is this kind of rule of like averages because of the difficulty level. More on that at Twin Peaks, over some cold beers. Anyways, so this is kind of the idea of a 51% attack. It's a really big deal, and it's a really big deal because of exchanges. Exchanges accept cryptocurrency. You can trade it, and you can withdraw it, deposit it, and then these exchanges can really get screwed for maybe millions and hundreds of millions of dollars potentially. I know, like, sometimes you look at your withdrawal limit on some of these exchanges, you're like, $1 million or $100,000, how am I ever going to hit that limit? Well, some of these exchanges could potentially, get screwed, especially if people are colluding, and a lot of people have accounts on these exchanges and withdraw and then double, or deposit, trade for some other kind of coin, withdraw that one, and then 51% attack to where they get all the coins that they deposit on that exchange back. So the exchange could lose out on a lot of cryptocurrency and a lot of money. So I think the exchanges are the biggest targets for the 51% attack, pretty much. So let's talk about Ethereum. Now, I have a poll up there. Which algorithm, let's see how much you really know, which algorithm does Ethereum use in terms of its mining hash rate, or its mining? Let's see what we got. We have vButerin up there. No one likes MD5. Come on, no one likes MD5? We got one MD5. There you go. We have a Microsoft guy here. Or is MD5 Microsoft? Did they invent that? Who knows? It's so old. All right. Okay, so it looks like most people are saying SHA-256, and then the other ones are saying Ethash. So the answer is actually Ethash. So it's not SHA-256. That's what Bitcoin's using, and you probably hear about that one a lot. Also, SHA-256 is a very common hashing algorithm for all kinds of things. If you're trying to prove integrity of a large download and stuff, MD5 and SHA-256 I've seen the most in terms of downloading like ISO images or large images. So Ethereum used Ethash, and I want to say they used Ethash originally to make it ASIC resistant. It was pretty much the idea. Yeah. It's memory intensive, right? Yeah, so it's memory intensive algorithm. The idea is to make it where ASICs are not, it's not easy to produce ASICs for this mining algorithm versus SHA-256 is very easy to, or it's almost commoditized ASICs now. Let's do another poll. Let's see how much y'all know. Ethereum Classic, does it use the same mining algorithm as Ethereum? So this is so if you know Ethereum Classic forked off of Ethereum, have they changed their mining algorithm since? And it looks like most people are saying yes, and it is yes. So Ethereum Classic, it forked off Ethereum, but they're still using the same mining algorithm. Similarly, Bitcoin Cash is still using the same mining algorithm as Bitcoin. It's the same, the same hash function. If you have a computer that's really good at potentially mining Ethereum Classic, it's going to do the same similar hash rate if you mine Ethereum. Same thing with Bitcoin. If you have a ASIC machine that's mining with SHA-256 against Bitcoin, you're going to have a similar hash rate against, with Bitcoin Cash. Differences between Ethereum and Ethereum Classic are pretty much a little bit ideological, at least on the initial split. It mainly had to do with something called the DAO hack, and we covered that pretty intensely. How many years ago was that? We had a big meetup on that. We were meeting in an attic when we we were meeting in an attic at Band of Coders, right? Yeah, we're covering this, and this was like a big deal. This is like, oh my gosh, 10% of all the Ethereum got locked up in this contract. So on the Ethereum Classic chain, the hacker still had, or the hacker successfully stole the money, and yeah, $65 million at the time, or 165 million, and well, he only took like a third of it, or like 2/3 of it, or something. Anyways, on Ethereum Classic chain, the hacker still has it. It's held true. It's supposed to be like, hey, you know, blockchains are immutable. Whatever happens, happens. You were gambling and you were doing risky stuff by putting your money in that smart contract, and you have to suffer the consequences. Versus Ethereum was like, screw that. We're getting our Ethereum back, and forked the chain and said, yeah, you know, even though you found a vulnerability in that smart contract, we're going to reverse it. And then people are like, well, if you're going to do that, then what's going to, you know, stop you from reversing other things and now potentially have a not have a censorship resistant platform, because you can censor certain types of things potentially. You know, it's a lot of people are saying, oh, it's a slippery slope. Anyways, they haven't, to my knowledge, really forked the chain since for something like that. There's a lot of speculation that they would do it for the parity hack, but they didn't. Right? Okay. So. Here's a good question. Are there ASICs, and these are machines, to mine ETH hash? I'm really curious what Ben's putting down. That's how I'm most curious, Ed. Yeah. No, he can clear his result and then push it back. Well, no, it wouldn't. Yeah. Otherwise, it'd be like 99%. No. When you clear your result and you put it back, it's going to take away, and then I don't know how this works. Whatever. Yeah, you just keep voting. Yeah. So about 50-50. You know, and I don't know if someone wants to shed light on this. I don't know. This is kind of a trick question. There's speculation that these things exist, and maybe this is what kind of helped foster a 51% attack against Ethereum. There's a lot of tinfoil kind of conspiracy stuff around this question. There's a lot of speculation that for sure, definitely there will be ASICs in the future, but they're not ready yet. And there's some people that think, oh no, you know, this is everyone's using GPU stuff. So yeah, did you have a comment or? Just like efficiency on GPU mining, yeah. Cool. All right. Well, anyways, say again. Well, he was saying there's been some efficiencies made recently with the GPU low power kind of stuff, but Bitmain's version of it. But there was some speculation that the 51% attack maybe happened because ASICs were invented and they experimented and attacked Ethereum Classic. So, so if you look at, let's see, what are we looking at? The nice hash. So one of the questions has been, do you know what nice hash is? Nice hash is where you can go and rent hash power. Right now, if you see all the nice hashable potential, you could have 84% of the Ethereum Classic hash rate. And if you see Ethereum, which has a very, you know, it has the same mining algorithm, it's only 5% because there's so many more people mining Ethereum versus Ethereum Classic. So as you can see, it's 9 terahash versus 185 terahash. Now this is interesting because, you know, people are saying, oh, you could use NiceHash to attack Ethereum Classic, but a lot of people said, yeah, but that didn't happen. That wasn't it. So these were 2 addresses out of several that were kind of pegged as like, hey, these are 2 addresses that definitely double spent during that time that were probably, you know, in on the attack. So I kind of was like, oh, okay, let's look at these addresses. So I looked at these addresses today before the meetup and dug in, and you can see the last transaction on this address was on January 10th. This is just using a block explorer on Ethereum Classic. Last transaction, they withdrew 27, almost 28,000 Ethereum Classic out of the address. It hasn't been used since. The other address wasn't used as much, but the last transaction they withdrew about 53,000 Ethereum Classic out of the address. So then it's like, all right, well, it's a blockchain. We can track all the records of all this stuff. So let's keep digging in and see, you know, let's see that last transaction, see what they did with at least that last one. So I dug into that last one, and you dug into it, dig into it, and about 10 or 20, you know, loops later or levels later, I got to this one, which was the most current version of that specific branch of that, of those spending. And it looked like they were just constantly moving these coins around, putting them into smaller outputs, potentially sending them to other people or other exchanges, who knows. A lot of exchanges apparently blacklist, these parent addresses and all the subsidiary ones. I don't know how well that works when it gets tainted well enough. Then you kind of taint the whole world. So I don't know how well that works, but it's kind of interesting because you could see up to the point I was looking at this 6 minutes ago, these coins were moving. So it's kind of interesting. You can see like, hey, you see like, we're working with like 53,000 Ethereum before, and now it's like we're at 2 Ethereum, 1 Ethereum, like very small amounts of Ethereum now compared to the original. So if you did steal a bunch of Ethereum Classic, your goal would be like mix it up, pollute it in the system as much as possible, and taint the whole world with the stolen funds, so they'd become a little bit more fungible. So that's kind of the goal, I guess, for the people who do these things. Well, I mean, I don't know if it looks like it. I mean, obviously, I have no idea. I mean, because this is pseudo-anonymous, but you can make guesses, and if you have enough, like, I guess, network effect, you can also kind of start relating IPs to these things. If you have like nodes on the network that can kind of pick up on some of this stuff, so you can do a little bit more detailed chain analysis. Yeah, Martin, do you want to make maybe a smart comment? I'm just kind of up here blabbering, so. These addresses were posted up saying like, hey, during the time of the reorg, they made huge transactions. So you actually don't know. It's just like guesses. Like people saying like these people, like, why did they choose to, double spend during that, that small time frame? And it was such a huge transaction. That was the idea. And maybe it was to an exchange. So it's like, why would you be moving all those funds at the perfect time to an exchange where you could take advantage of it? I don't know. I only know what I read on the internet, so so. Yeah, and then why are they taking like one address and splitting it, like he said, into 100,000 different? The people who performed this attack were probably pretty savvy on the Ethereum script side, probably automating all this stuff. But all right, let's keep going. So I think the cool part with these public blockchains is you can play armchair detective. You can go in and you can feel like you know what's going on versus like our system now, it's like completely closed off. You can't like, if someone like scams you, you can't go into their bank account and see where they sent the money. That's only privy like to the bank stuff. So the idea this is public is kind of cool to some extent. Obviously for privacy it's not that great, but if you want to try to track down someone who did something, you can maybe do it. So interesting stuff. Now, one thing I was a little bit confused about was I was looking at these things because I was comparing Ethereum Classic to Ethereum and the price differences. So it's about 27 times more. The price of Ethereum is 27x what Ethereum Classic is. So you would imagine like, okay, the mining power is probably about 27 times what Ethereum Classic is, right? If you compare, the mining incentives and stuff like that. But it was kind of off, so I was like wondering, why is it only 18 times more? In terms of hash rate, why is the Ethereum hash rate only 18 times what Ethereum Classic is if the price, if the price is $4.38 versus $118? And kind of dug in a little bit and figured out it's because block times in Coinbase. So the Coinbase on Ethereum Classic is actually larger than Ethereum. So Ethereum Classic's 3.88 and Ethereum's 2.91. And then also, if you look at the blue chart, that's Ethereum. You can see the block times are going up. So it's a little less profitable to mine Ethereum. Therefore, if you do all this math, it still lines up like, okay, it's just as profitable to mine Ethereum as it is Ethereum Classic, but it wasn't that straightforward at first to know why, at least. But I think this is pretty much why. All right, so now we talked about, tracking someone publicly, this, easy to track blockchain. Now we're going to talk about something that's definitely not easy to track. Monero now we're hitting the Monero section of the presentation. And do you know what Monero is? I was trying not to end this question in like a preposition. I didn't know how. So if anyone is really good at English, get with me. Teach me how to phrase this question better. No, okay. So most people here know what Ethereum is, or sorry, Monero. Good chunk of y'all don't know what Monero is, which is good. I'm glad I asked that question actually. All right, so well before we go to that next one, Monero is a completely separate code base than Bitcoin. Came out I want to say 2014. Someone correct me if I'm wrong on that. It was focused on privacy and does a lot of really neat things with privacy in terms of fungibility. So it was tackling the fungibility use case of, hey, all coins are equal because you can't see like whose coins belong to who. So it's a very interesting project. For the longest time, you know, it's deemed to be, hey, you know, this doesn't really scale that well because of these privacy features. The transactions are much larger. But it was still a very, very cool project and experiment. A lot of crypto people were very interested in this project because of its anonymous nature by default. This is one of the only blockchains that's anonymous by default. There is no option to send like a plain, you know, like Zcash. You can send like normal Bitcoin transactions or like a zero knowledge, you know, kind of transaction. This is like every transaction is almost like a first level privacy citizen, if that makes sense. Or privacy is like a, you know, underlying feature for every transaction. All right. Now, which mining algorithm does Monero use? Just because we talked about it at the last one, so I want to see who knows it for this. SHA-256 is always a strong contestant in these things, so. I want to grab some water. MD5? Yeah. I forgot it this time. Less options. I thought Swiss 60 was like a really cool name. I made that one up. I was like, Swiss 60. Yo, you using Swiss 60? Bro. Anyways, it is. Most people got it. It's using CryptoNight V8. And to be honest, if you didn't know that, that sounds like that sounds like some kind of game. That doesn't even sound real. It sounds made up. We'll see how long before I kick that over. All right. So, like I said, Monero's focused on privacy. They have some key features, and if you Google Monero and go to YouTube, there's like some really good like 3-minute explainer videos on these topics, specifically stealth addresses, ring confidential transactions, ring signatures, and range proofs. I would highly recommend. I'm not going to do any justice if I start talking about these things, and they're highly technical, but we're going to focus on the range proofs because that's really where this new feature that we're going to be talking about, bulletproofs, comes in. This is a huge upgrade and improvement to Monero, in my opinion. So, if you notice some of the authors of bulletproofs, you can see people like Greg Maxwell, Peter Woolley, Andrew Poelstra, and who's some other guys I know. You have Benedict up there. I don't know who Dan or Jonathan is. Huh? Dan Bonnet? Oh, yeah, Dan Bonnet. There you go. Do you know who Jonathan Boodle is? I don't know who that guy is. I know, but then you're right. Thank you. All right, guys. So, no. But anyways, if you Google bulletproofs, you can definitely really look into the nuts and bolts of what bulletproofs are. And I kind of drug out the range proof section of this in the paper. Now, let me just quickly give a high level on what a range proof is. And this is kind of the crux of bulletproofs. It pretty much says, okay, with a transaction, when I'm sending someone coins, you have inputs and outputs. You have outputs are the recipients, and inputs are how am I going to fund this transaction, okay? That's how pretty much all these transactions work. Now, with range proofs, because Monero is very, very anonymous, you have all kinds of these anonymous inputs and these kind of like almost anonymous outputs. And it's very hard to differentiate, like who's really the sender and who's really the receiver, okay? It's a really, really cool feature of Monero. But the problem is if you have, these really anonymous inputs and outputs of a transaction, how do you know someone isn't just creating tons of Monero or coins in a transaction, because if you can't audit the transaction to know like, hey, the inputs have to equal a certain amount, and the outputs have to equal that same amount. Otherwise, they're creating coins out of thin air. So what a range proof does is verify that all the inputs and outputs cancel out, and that's all it does. And this just ensures that no coins are created out of thin air. So that's really what a range proof is for, and it's a really, really cool feature. And if you want to know like really the heavy science of it, I would recommend studying this. And if you want to give a presentation on like the really deep workings of range proofs, definitely get with us, and we'll give you a platform. So that's high level what a range proof is. It's to make sure all the inputs equal all the pretty much the sum is 0. Inputs minus outputs equals 0. Okay. Now, like I said, you want to make sure, because of all this anonymous nature, people aren't just making free money every time they send Monero transaction. So the cool part about bulletproofs, and this is really the whole Monero, this is the slide that you have to pay attention to. This is the only slide. Before, these transactions are really large. If depending on how many outputs you have, it scales linearly. So if you have 2 outputs, it's going to be 13K. If you have probably 3, it's going to be around 21 or 22 kilobytes. So those are pretty large transactions that you have to hold forever. After that, you can see the reduction is logarithmic. So the more outputs you have, it actually doesn't get linearly bigger. So not only is it smaller, but it scales better, depending on the complexity of the transaction. So this is really, really a cool thing in terms of scalability for Monero. Now, you might be thinking, okay, like 2 kilobytes is still really big for a transaction, or that's really small. It depends what your thoughts are on that. I still think that's really, really big for something that you have to hold forever if this is going to be used on a wide scale. But just to show you how bad it was before, this is like a huge improvement. And this is kind of how I see things. Like Monero, the transaction is still very, very bloated. It's still very, very fluffy. That's Fluffy Pony, by the way. If you don't know who that is, learn about Monero. And then Bitcoin's over here, like very, to the core, like very like, even though we only eat red meat, apparently, we're still like very conservative on how much we eat. The transactions, a small transaction could be less than like 200. A Bitcoin transaction, you get to about 200 bytes on like the small side. So. Yeah, well, I hope not. But anyways, just to kind of give you a visual representation of how transactions are different. Yeah, it's a very. I picked the wrong picture for Bitcoin because that looks very depressing. But the idea was to make it skinny compared to fat. So, anyways, so that's literally. We'll end on that note. Hey, Chris, if you want to come up. So that is literally what you can take away. Monero, large transactions. Bitcoin small. Monero had a huge improvement. Ethereum Classic had a 51% attack. These are teasers for better talks at TabConf. Make sure you get your ticket before February 1st. And we're going to have Chris come up and give a piece of hardware away. And then after that, we can stay here till about 8 o'clock, and then we'll go to Twin Peaks. All right, everybody? All right. Yeah. Yeah, thank you again. Ed, a round of applause for Ed that showed us the polling software. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Yeah, I'll leave that one for. You want to take the stage?
Hey everybody, Chris Flinders with ProtectingCoin.com. We do hardware wallets, accessories, we do consulting for security. Check out our booth, we've got a lot of different options back there. So enough of that. For the giveaway, I have to decide this every month what to give away, and I couldn't decide tonight, so I had an option. We have a Trezor Model 1 hardware wallet or silver. So this is a 1 ounce cold storage coin. It's a 1 ounce silver coin, so actual silver. So if Bitcoin goes to 0, you still got silver. So, but you can also load it with Bitcoin. So I think of this as like a gift card. My father, he does not understand a hardware wallet. He doesn't understand cryptocurrency. He doesn't want to understand it. He understands silver. So I give him this. I load some Bitcoin on it. He gets Bitcoin and silver. So he puts the silver in the safe. So you can pick between those. All right. We've got 215-894-1. 41. 41. Going once. I don't wait. All right, that's it. 41 is done. 215-896-66. We got a winner. All right. What do you want to pick? Hardware wallet or silver?
Oh, I want the silver. My husband will be after me for that. Thank you.
Nope. So come to TabConf. We'll be there the whole weekend. I heard we may be giving away a Model T wallet. That is worth $160. So that's a pretty good giveaway. And there'll be some smaller giveaways as well, but a Model T wallet, $160 giveaway. So.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys, for coming out. If y'all have any questions, come find me. I'll also be at Twin Peaks tonight. So thank you so much.